Ooh, I wasn't doing the picky dance. What's up, guys? It's Seth. It is Wednesday night. It is actually I'm doing my carrot top. It's actually Yom Kippur, but it's not Yom Kippur. We are live to video tonight, so this is live. It will be the usual Seth content, but it's going to be played Wednesday night. So this way, I don't do the show on Yom Kippur, and we're going to get into that in a little while, but it's the Jewish Day of Atonement, and the 10 days between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur are the 10 days of repentance. So you're supposed to be good. I mean, you're supposed to be good all the time. It's just you should be a good person. I always say, see the good, be the good. You should be the good. But during these 10 days, you want to be put in the book, in the good book, not the book of Seth, but, you know, the big guy's book, and you want to have a good year. The other thing with Yom Kippur is that you ask for forgiveness of your sins that you've committed knowingly. And sometimes we commit sins unknowingly. So you ask for forgiveness from them as well. It's weird knowing that this is not live, even though it's live. It's live, but it's not Wednesday night. So, so I was going to start with a few uh, really off-color jokes because then I can ask for forgiveness. And also, I think that, I mean, obviously, God has a sense of humor. Obviously, otherwise there wouldn't be people, who behave. I'm not going to say behave like me. There wouldn't be people like me. This isn't a behavioral pattern. This is me. So, and there are a couple of really good uh, Yom Kippur stories, true Yom Kippur stories. Some that you'll have to decide if they're true or if they're not true. So we're going to talk about them. We're going to briefly touch on this week's storage stuff because this was a this was a weird week. Um, I again won a couple of units where I posted the stuff on Facebook Marketplace before I loaded the car, and I met people on my way home or on my way to my warehouse storage facility. So by the time I got there was little to nothing. It continued over the weekend, which was kind of cool, and went into today where it's not just drummers, it's musicians in general will say, "Hey, what else you got?" So I had a guy come for a pair of monitors and leave with monitors, speakers, all kinds of good stuff. So that's always a win. But the holiday, the story that comes to mind because uh, I'm not working, so to speak. Well, I'm not working on Yom Kippur, but there's a story, and I made a couple of notes because I didn't want to screw it up. So I'm going to tell this story, but then I'm going to tell some off color jokes that even when I look at them, I'm like, hoo, 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 hoo. So so the story that comes to mind is Sandy Koufax, and it was the 1965 World Series, and it was the Dodgers and the Twins, and they were in Minnesota, and Game One fell on Yom Kippur. Sandy Koufax was the guy on the Dodgers. He was the pitcher in baseball, statistically. And there were other great pitchers. There were other great pitchers on his team. Don Drysdale being a great, great pitcher. And because Sandy Koufax wouldn't play on Yom Kippur on the holiest day of the year, Don Drysdale got the nod. He got the start. And the story goes that while Sandy Koufax was in synagogue, and there were people who saw him in synagogue in some temple in Minnesota, um, and Don Drysdale uh, didn't have the best game. He got uh, they got shelled. They were beaten, and when the manager comes out to the mound to take the ball, Don Drysdale says to him, "I bet you wish I was Jewish." So, and that story has been confirmed. I was told that story by my friend Jeff, and I looked it up. I looked it up because I'm like, that's got to be a joke, and it's legit, and it's legit, and people back up. That's what was said. So, I think that's pretty cool. Um, but I do. I'm trying to think. Oh my God! This weekend I went to Brooklyn on I forget what day to deliver drums and deliver rims. And so it was a business trip of sorts. And in Brooklyn was the Third Avenue Fair or Third Avenue Festival or whatever you call it. I call it live music in like six different spots. Good bands, very good bands. I went live on Facebook. Um, very good bands. I had my first, I forget what they call it. I guess it's a smash burger where it's all the stuff is kind of smushed together or smashed together if it's a smash burger. It was good. It was good. And it was the regular price. Usually at the fair, there's like price gouging going on. No price gouging. Um, so the other unit I got this week belonged to a basketball player. I'm not going to say his name because I still can't figure out why he didn't pay the $400 for the unit. There was some crazy stuff in there. A lot of pictures of him with other players. Um, a lot of jerseys, uniforms. He also was very involved um, with children, not in that way, but like coaching. So there were all kinds of cool coaching stuff. And in fact, I want to donate. I have a ton of, not a literal ton. I probably have a couple of dozen playground balls. Um, I have a lot of ABA balls. And so I'm going to narrow down who it is because the guy owns an ABA team. And silly me, I didn't even know that the ABA existed. He did have some very, very cool jewelry. And so, you know, I'm pimping. I'm pimping. I can't remember the word that I'm styling. I'm styling with the yarmulke and the chain. So, and there was a lot of cool stuff in there. But and part of me wonders where the guy is because he didn't know much on the unit. So it doesn't make sense. Um, the other thing was that I had a couple of interviews this week. So this is where the Yom Kippur forgiveness begins. This is where it begins. This is how it all starts. Um, and I don't know why I feel like I mentioned these interviews from last week, but these are interviews from this week. Uh, so they always ask questions. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? What's your overall plan? Name a time when you had to make a difficult choice. Come on. And anyone who's ever been in managerial positions knows what answer you're looking for. So I feel like I have, like it's a marked deck. Um, so she said, name an area for improvement. And I said, well, I'm brutally honest. I'm always honest. And she said, I don't see that as a fault. And I said, I don't give a shit what you see it as. So, and then the second interview is I'm sitting across from the woman. Why do I feel like I said this? I'm sitting across from the woman, and she said, "Do you have any questions?" And I said, "Well, I'm curious about the position itself. And she said, "Well, I have 3 openings." And I said, "I kind of assumed that." So, remember, I can ask for forgiveness for these. Can you believe I wrote these down? So, now this is where we really get I'm so torn, but I feel like, I feel like I should, number 1, I have an hour of content to kill, and it's planned in my hour. This show actually, I don't know why, but because it's live to tape, I, like, took all kinds of notes, and, oh, if anyone needs a teleprompter, I have 2 because I'm not a teleprompter guy. I can't, I can't. You can spot over my left shoulder, or if you're looking at me, I think it's still my left shoulder. Um, you can spot a bottle of Bartonura. So the funny thing with Bartonura is that it's a bubbly, sparkling beverage. I think it's fucking delicious. I believe it's a Moscato, and if I'm pronouncing it wrong, I don't really care. Uh, so when I lived in Freeport, I was stunned at the promotion of Bartonura. There are trucks that deliver to liquor stores. To me, it was always, a kosher holiday wine that my mom loved, and it's sweet, it's so good. In fact, let's make a toast right now to Bartonura. Anything for a toast. This is more of the peach White Claw. I don't know why my it looked like my screen dimmed. Oh, no. I saw a lag. Hopefully, that corrects itself. Anywho, so Bartonura in Freeport is like there are giant fake cans that are used for advertising, and giant fake cans. Who would have known that I would say that and it's not a punchline? Giant fake cans of Bartonura, trucks with Bartonura on the side. Like I said, to me, it's, a holiday beverage. Um, but I don't know what made me go on that tangent. And I'm not going to say what I said the other night 8 times or 14 times. I'm going to jump into these very. I'm going to start with one that it may or may not be a true story. But I met a young lady at Prohibition. I'm trying to remember who was playing. It was someone good. Uh, damn it, I'm trying to. It might have been Spinderella and the Posers. But anyway, I met a young lady there. And, I was being Seth, not too much Seth, but not too little Seth. I was the correct amount of Seth. And I said, we should get out of here. She said, I think that's a great idea. We drove to a secluded spot on the water. Very nice, very, very romantic, very desolate. I was more concerned with desolate. And one thing leads to another. And she says, before we continue, uh, I have to get paid. I realize a lot of my stories involve payment to young ladies. Um, hey, you can't take it with you. So I think it was W.C. Fields who said, I spent half of my money on booze and whores, and the other half I wasted. So we'll go with that. Anyway, so we're in a nice romantic, desolate area. And she says, before we continue, I'm a pro. I get paid for this. I said, what's the damage? She said, $200. I gave her the $200. And, we hang out, we fool around. Very nice, very enjoyable. And we go back to the front seat and we're sitting. And she says, how come we're not going? Let's go back to the bar. And I said to her, oh, I forgot to tell you, I'm an Uber driver. It's going to cost you 300 to get back to the bar. So, so that was not the cringeworthy one. I keep going back and forth on this, but I feel like I gotta I gotta do it because I've had this joke planned for 3 weeks, and I haven't had the balls. But before I do that, I went to see a good friend of mine who's a physician from when I was in healthcare. Told me a great story. So he saw a new patient, beautiful, beautiful. She comes into the office, and he just he can't help himself. And he says, "I'm going to give you a full examination." And he said, "Please take off your top." And he's touching her breasts. And he says, "Do you know what I'm doing?" And she said, "Sure, you're examining my breasts for any abnormalities." And he said, "Yes." And he slid his hand down and he said, "Can you remove your skirt?" She removed her skirt and he started rubbing the inside of her thighs. And he said, "Do you know what I'm doing?" And she said, "Yes, you're checking my skin for anything unusual, any melanoma or anything unusual." And he said, "Yes, yes." And he walked around behind her and he said, "Can you remove your panties?" She did. And he started to have sex with her. And he said, "Do you know what I'm doing?" And she said, "Yes, you're catching herpes. That's why I'm here." So, so be careful. Be careful out there is all I'm saying. Hey, what do spinach and anal sex have in common? If you were forced to have it as a kid, you probably hate it as an adult. So, anyway, did I mention that my future brother-in-law is a pharmacist? No bullshit. He's a pharmacist. Intelligent guy, nice guy, nice guy. My twin sister, she's not, we're born on the same day, only a few years apart. So anyway, he's a pharmacist, smart guy, great at his job. Guy comes in and asks for a, sorry, ah, he asks for a, what was I going to say? Oh, he comes in with a terrible, terrible cough. Just making sure I have the notes correct. So he comes in with a terrible cough, terrible. And and my future brother-in-law says, "Do you have a prescription?" And he says, "No, I don't." Now it's the eye, right eye tonight. See that? Right eye, right nostril. I am falling apart, guys. Falling apart. He says, "Do you have a prescription?" The guy says, "No, no, I don't." So he says, "Okay, don't worry, I'll take care of you." Then his boss comes in and says, "Why's that guy standing in the corner?" And my future brother-in-law says, uh, "He didn't have a prescription for cough medicine, so I gave him an entire box of laxative." His boss says, "What's that going to do? That's not going to help." And my future brother-in-law says, "Sure it is. Look at him standing over there. He's afraid to cough." So I guess that's it for those jokes. So before we get into Yom Kippur, I want to blow through these sponsors now. This way we get them out of the way. Um, so we're going to start out with Larry Scott Pro Gear. Larry's having a crazy snare drum crazy snare drum sale, snare drum sale. Check him out on Facebook. He's got lots of great stuff. And tell him Seth sent you. I don't think it'll do anything, but you could tell him anyway. Um, and then there's Go Go Granny Racing. This is uh, this woman, Angela, knows about horses, about everything. Oh, look, I'm down in the corner, down on the corner. She knows everything. She's the one who has Boom Chicka Boom, my favorite name for a horse. Favorite name. Favorite name. This week, I will not be going into All American Burger because I am fasting on Thursday. Um, but then Friday, I'm going to eat like an animal because that's how I do it. I fast and then I eat like an animal. And right across the parking lot, which I'll definitely go to on Friday, is Marshall's Ice Cream Bar. The best. The best. I order the Seth, and they always say we don't have that. And I explain to them that it's chocolate vanilla swirl, rainbow sprinkles, and the top dipped in chocolate. Just the tip. Just the tip. See what I did there? Just the tip. Hey, do you know what's 2 miles long and starts and stops and starts and stops? I believe it's a Mexican funeral with only one set of jumper cables. That joke's from like when I was in fifth grade, and I laugh whenever I hear it. And then the other question is, why were there only 2,000 Mexicans at the Alamo? The answer is because they only had 3 pickup trucks. So, come on, that's some funny stuff. Now, here's where we begin the atonement. Two hookers. Whenever a joke starts with two hookers, it's time for atonement. Two hookers are discussing work. One says, I could tell it's going to be a great night. I could smell cock in the air. And the other one says, oh, I'm sorry, I just burped. So, all right, that's, uh, ooh. So, yeah, I'm going to give up on the last one. So, I would like to talk about Yom Kippur. And this is a good place to start. So the high holidays are upon us. Rosh Hashanah is the new year. That's a happy holiday. Yom Kippur is an observance. And so you say, have an easy fast. Have an easy fast. Um, so with Yom Kippur, it's the day where you get a list of sins, but it's the holiest day of the year. And Jews traditionally ask for forgiveness, not just from God, but from our fellow human beings. And there are prayers. You spend the day in synagogue. You don't eat. It's rough. It is rough. Uh, they say if you have an easy fast, it means you didn't sin. I call shenanigans. I didn't make a toast. Sorry, I did make a mess, but I didn't make a toast. So, so I'm going to read some of that prayer, but before I do, for me, it was like a checklist. And when you're a little kid and you have the checklist, it's like I don't even know. I guess a picture is the easiest way to describe it. But it's like for your checklist, uh, got it, need it, got it. So with the sins, it's like I did it, I didn't do it, I did it, I didn't do it. Some of the sins, I don't even know what they mean. I have no clue what they even mean. But again, it's the checklist. You got to follow the checklist and see where you fall. It's it's again, it's I as a kid I didn't know what half of these things were. Then you get a little life experience. I know what these sins are. I know what these sins are. Um, but it reminds me of the story of the rabbi who gets a parrot, and uh, the parrot is making noise, and the rabbi's like, "What is this noise? What do I hear?" And as he gets closer, he could hear that the parrot is praying, and he goes over and he says, "Hey, parrot, are you praying?" And the parrot says, "Yes, I'm praying." And the rabbi says, "You know the prayers?" And he says, "Of course I do. I'm observant, very observant. I'm a practicing Jewish parrot." So the rabbi thinks a minute and says, I think that we should, uh, that was my phone. I think that we should take you to synagogue on Rosh Hashanah. Parrot said, I'd love to go. So the rabbi's thinking, and he says, I'm gonna make a few wagers. I'm gonna make a few wagers about my parrot praying. All said and done, he has a few grand bet. They get to synagogue, and he looks over at the parrot and he says, start to pray. Start to pray. The parrot just sits there. He's not praying. Start to pray. Parrot's not praying. So the rabbi has to pay out to all these people. They get home and he says, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me that you didn't pray? You know what you cost me? And the parrot says, take it easy, take it easy. We're going to win it all back on Yom Kippur. So I thought that was funny. I thought that was real funny. But I could see it happening too. Maybe it's true. Maybe it's not a joke. Maybe it's real. Um, the other famous uh, high holiday joke is that on the long break on Yom Kippur, a rabbi who's an avid golfer decides he's going to go out and play. He's going to go out and play a few rounds, and while he's playing on the break, there's a long break. While he's praying, he gets a hole in one, a hole in one, and he's like, "Oh Lord, a hole in one!" And he hears God say, "Who are you going to tell?" He can't tell people he went out and played golf on the high holidays. So, so the checklists are well. There's a prayer called Al Chaitz, and Bobby's going to put up what the prayer is, and it basically you say it multiple times in the day. Um, I want to say six, but it's in the description. So al means do not, and chaitz is miss the mark. But it's a list of your sins, and it's things you're not supposed to do. And so you say it numerous times, and each time you say it, you kind of beat your chest and you ask for forgiveness. And so I'm going to read you a few of these because, like I said, I don't even know like how you how you how you do it, how you get involved. Um, the list of the sins. You start off with you say, "Forgive me for the sins I've committed knowingly before you, and I've committed knowingly and unknowingly." And basically, you're going to ask for forgiveness, and you say, "We've been uh, the sins of hard-heartedness, sins we committed inadvertently, sins we committed before you with an utterance of the lips, sins we have committed before you with immorality, the sins which we have committed before you openly, the sins which we've committed before you secretly." I'm going to skip the beginning part of each of these because it's for the sin which we have committed before you with knowledge and with deceit, um, the sin we have committed before you through speech. They really try to cover all the bases. They really do. The sin which we committed before you by deceiving a fellow man, the sin which we committed before you by improper thoughts. That's probably my big one. I feel like I could repeat that 4 or 5 times. The sin which we had committed you before you by a gathering of lewdness. I I would assume I've done that. I would assume I've had a gathering of lewdness, probably down here at Club 4006. Sin which we have committed before you by verbal confession. I'll say yes to that. The sin which we have committed before you by disrespect for parents and teachers. That, no. That, no way. No way. I never, no disrespect to my parents or my teachers. There was a teacher in ninth grade. Um, the sin which we have committed before you intentionally or unintentionally. That's the catch-all. Some of these sins you don't know. Sometimes you're doing something wrong and you're like, wow, this is wrong. I shouldn't be doing this. Other times you're like, hey, what the hell? The sin which we have committed before you using coercion. That's more of a mafia thing, I think. Sin which we have committed before you by desecrating the divine name. One of my big things is holy shit, but I don't think I'm not using anyone's name. And but I guess I could change that up, like to holy crap instead of holy shit. The sin which we've committed before you by impurity of speech. I don't know what the fuck impurity of speech means. The sin which we've committed before you by foolish talk. All right, that's another one I should say a few times. Foolish talk. Foolish talk. I'm going to classify the shit that I say as foolish talk. Sin which we've committed before you with evil inclination. So that's God's way of saying you've got to change your evil ways, baby. Uh, Sin which we've committed before you knowingly and unknowingly. For all these, God of pardon, pardon us, forgive us, atone for us. But the list goes on. Now, keep in mind, we only have about 50 minutes total, 50. It's a long list. It's not going to take 50 minutes because, frankly, then I wouldn't have the attention span in synagogue to do this. The sin which we've committed before you by false denial and lying. I feel like everyone at some point does that. So that's also, uh, a catch-all. The sin which we've committed before you by a bribe taking or bribe giving. Bribe taking and bribe giving. Again, I feel like that's a mafia thing. Um, the sin which we've committed before you by scoffing. I don't know what that means. I've probably done it. The sin by evil talk. Again, evil talk is a catch-all. Sin which we've committed before you in business dealings. I feel like in a synagogue filled with Jews, that's, uh, you know, ooh, um, sin which we've committed before you by eating and drinking. Maybe that has to do with like, I eat a lot of lobster. It's not kosher. I eat a lot. Sin which we've committed before you by taking or giving interest and usury. Usury. I feel like that's how my girlfriend says usually. Sin which we've committed before you by haughty demeanor and by the prattle of our lips. That sounds fucking sexy. The sin which we've committed before you by a glance of the eye. That also sounds very sexy. Sin which we have committed before you with proud looks. My fucking eyes, my nose. Sin which we've committed before you with imprudence. Dear Prudence, for all these, God of pardon, pardon us, forgive us, atone for us. Sin which we've committed before you by casting off a yoke. I don't know what that is. Passing judgment, scheming against a fellow man, begrudging eye. Here's one, frivolity. I don't know what that is. Uh, obdurancy, running to do evil, tale bearing, swearing in vain. Okay, that one I'm very guilty. Very guilty. Uh, causeless hatred. I feel like everyone does that. Embezzlement, and a confused heart. And then you go back into uh, the catch-all for all of these. God of pardon, pardon us, forgive us, atone for us. And then there's a whole bunch of like religious ones. But it also has trespass, lashing for rebelliousness, 40 lashes, uh, of course, uh, penalty of death, excision, and childlessness. I don't know what that means. Uh, four forms of capital punishment executed by court: stoning, burning, decapitation, strangulation. Like, I don't get that. I don't know. And then it goes into anything we may have or may have not said. The words of the Torah, you are the pardoner of Israel and the forgiver. We ask you for forgiveness and pardons. It's a lot of stuff, man. And you're saying it 5, 6, 7 times. So I feel like you want forgiveness. You make it clear you want forgiveness. The question is, the day after Yom Kippur, what kind of person are you? It's kind of like 9/11 and how everyone was cool after that and then went back to being not cool. Um, I feel like on September 12th, everyone was wonderful. Wonderful. Now you're on the road and you see all kinds of road rage and all kinds of stuff. But, for those of you who observe, I wish you an easy fast. I hope you get written in the book of life for another year. And I'm going to make a toast, but I have to grab a beverage from right over here. Uh, but we are about to head into the world of storage. And I'm going to start out showing you a couple of things I'm bidding on. And while Bobby puts it up, I'm grabbing a beverage and from right over here. Next week, maybe I'll try it from behind the bar. I think it would be weird. Give me a second to grab a beverage. Oh, I'm headphoned. This is going to be tough. Ah, oh, high noon. I guess I'm out of the others. So I could shut my phone now that we went through that. So the units that I'm bidding on, and we talk about this all the time. This one you can see the pearl drums. Um, it still has 18 days. It's not going for $100. No way that's going for $100. No way. It is. Those drums are worth probably close to $1,000. And but if anyone out there bids against me, I'll be very upset. Again, I look for cars, I look for motorcycles, I look for drums. Those are my key. I'm gonna make a quick toast to cars, motorcycles, and drums. That's delicious. I can't drink during Yom Kippur, obviously, because I'm fasting. Left eye. This is a minivan. Um, that's not going to go for $220. Let's be real. It's going to go for a few $1,000. Um, it does have a clean title, does have keys, so those are pluses. So we'll see where I shake down with that. But now this one I was outbid, and the reason why I'm not bidding more is it's at $4,300 for tools. I have so many tools. If anyone needs tools, I have tools for sale, tools for donation, tools for toys for tools for kids. I have everything you could possibly imagine. Everything. So if anyone needs tools, great prices from me. Great, great prices from me. This is the one that I really want to win. I want to win this. I don't think that's bad to say. It's the minimum bid is over 5 grand. I don't know what to make of it, but I think it'll go for. And I should have sent Bobby. There were a few pictures. That thing is in unbelievable condition. It's been in the storage unit, I think the girl told me, for maybe 4 or 5 years. So then you have to worry that rodents ate through the hoses and the wiring and shit. But, you're bidding on what you see, and what I see there is a very, very clean car. We shall find out. We shall find out. And, I think that might be it on the picks. I'm almost sure that's it on the picks. So this week, the other unit I got was filled uh, with diapers and toys. A lot of diapers and toys. Again, I donate countless things, but I left the unit and I went right to St. Agnes and left it at the clothing drop because I don't know what I could possibly. I'm not going to sell diapers and little babies' toys. It's one thing if it's Lego and people collect, um, but the biggest thing that happened to me, and I might have touched on it. I don't think it happened last week. I think it happened over the weekend. I won a unit and I was psyched. I couldn't wait to get inside. And I generally record. This is the symbol for record. I generally record as we go in. And I don't cross the threshold till I match pictures with the storage unit. So I unlock and I open the door and I say on the video, "Wow, this looks very different. Something's fucked up." Well, what was fucked up was that the unit had the wall broken through between the back unit and this unit, my unit. So I'm like, how could like the entire it looked like a forklift drove through it. So I said something is amiss. And I look at the pictures, and sure enough, there was a back wall in the pictures. Someone entered through the back wall, through the back wall. So obviously, I'm not paying for that unit, or I paid for it, but I want a refund. And so I spoke with the storage manager, and they're going to work something out. But also, who broke in. It's whoever has the unit behind it. So very upsetting. That was messed up. And then the other one was that it was a unit that was filled with wheels and tires to Cadillacs, to Denali's, to Ford F-150s. None of them fit my car. They were 20s. I need 22s. That's my luck. I'm happy to say everything's been sold from that unit. Everything. So, but again, it's bid on what you see. If this was easy, if this was like the show on TV, everyone would do it and everyone would make a fortune. It's not. It's not like the show on TV. So, people ask me all the time, how great is it? I say, you win some, you lose some. It's hit and miss, like everything. A lot of businesses are hit and miss. So it's real tough to call, real tough to call. I had a unit, another church unit in Bridgeport, and it came down to the wire, and me and one other bidder were going back and forth. I lost the unit at the last second because I tried timing it and I screwed up the timing. So again, that happens. Unfortunately, it happens often. But so I'm trying to think what is on tap for us. We have a lot on tap. We have broadcasting live from uh, Katie O'Hara's, and I know I've said it 100 times. This time it's really happening for a karaoke night in I think 3 weeks, and I want to do it live for Halloween from somewhere. I think that would be a pisser. We'll see. The other thing is that I am a mess. My eyes, my beak, my mouth feels all right. Finally, something on me feels all right. Um, let's do the checklist. These are not sins, although this is what I say the sins should be. So when I say it's like a checklist, I'm like, got it, need it, got it. And it's just the the things that I've done, and I've done a lot, and I realize I've done a lot. I'm well aware of the fact that I've done a lot, but a lot of it is done not with a not with like good humor, not the ice cream, but like a good spirit or joking around. I fuck around so much, joking and kidding that I feel like it's never mean-spirited. These are from I can't I don't have glasses. I think that it said these were from '86. The reason why I chose these are because I actually have these cards. So I was like, "Huh." In '86, I was still a kid. I wasn't an adult. But yeah, so that's what these are from. And that's why I did them. I thought it was very funny that they were cards that I had. So bizarro, bizarro. The other thing is uh, Christmas time or Hanukkah time. We are going to be. I think I'm going to do just a lot of clips from my family's Hanukkah celebrations, and one of them we are doing here, and the one we are doing here, I'm going to have a couple of cameras up. So I'll talk to Bobby and we'll make sure that gets done because I thought about it on Rosh Hashanah. My family is very entertaining. I think very entertaining. I think it's every family. People say, "Oh, my family is a weird bunch." Oh, we are. I'm getting messages. I'm hearing ice machines. Um, but so we're going to do that. The one that I'm really looking forward to is New Year's Eve uh, in Atlantic City. That's going to be a laugh riot. It's going to be a pisser. Before I do sign off for the night, I do want to thank anyone in law enforcement. Um, what they do is tough. A lot of times it's a thankless job. And I want to thank the Freeport Police for always being vigilant, always doing the right thing. Nassau County Police, police everywhere. They work hard. They work hard. It's a thankless job. And, people shoot at you and stuff. So it's a tough gig. So thanks to those guys. I want to thank Strong Island TV and remind everyone Friday nights at Paradise Studios in Massapequa, right by the train, is like an open mic night. It's very cool. It's run the right way. Check it out. You'll be glad you did. Um, Subscribe to me. It's www.youtube.com/at SethRock1. And if you look, it's scrolling across the bottom of the screen like magic. Like magic. I'm just going to remind you that all my shows have to be under an hour because now there is a Roku station for Strong Island TV. You could watch this podcast and all my podcasts over and over and over. So that's very cool. There's also very good entertaining shows. Jackie the Joke Man has a show. Ed the Hat, Princess Jerry. It's a lot of good shows. Check them out. And you'll be glad you did. Listen, there's such shit on television that this is really the best entertainment, I think. When I say this, I mean, you know, Strong Island TV. I actually mean this. This is the best entertainment. So the cards I didn't hit, I will hit next week. I still don't know about those last two jokes. Guys, if you're observing, have an easy fast, see the good, be the good, and smile at strangers because a lot of times it drives them nuts. Have a great, great week, and I'll see you next weekend. Same Seth time, same Seth channel for the happy hour with Seth.